In this video, we are going to learn about the variables and we are going to build few variables programs in Rust. Currently, I am in desktop directory. So I am going to create a Rust package using the cargo package manager. I hope if you previously gone through the cargo video, hope you will able to create Rust package using the cargo package manager. Let's create Rust package using cargo. We can check what is the whether cargo has been installed or not. For the checking whether the cargo has been installed or not, type cargo hyphen capital V and press enter. This could displace the cargo version and which is the nightly version. So hope we have successfully confirmed that we have cargo has been successfully installed in our system. Let's create our cargo package of variable using cargo package manager. Type cargo new, we are going to call it as cargo variable. I'm going to specify not to create git repo in this current folder. In order to prevent the cargo to create the git repository, type hyphen hyphen vcs. If you type enter, you could get to know like the cargo itself have the possibilities of creating a git repository. So these are the things we need to type the possible values in which we are going to prevent our cargo package manager in order to create git repository. Type none so that cargo package manager wouldn't create git repository. Once press on enter, we could see the confirmation message in the terminal saying that the car created a binary application. So this is the message once we hit on cargo new command. Let's navigate to the cargo variable folder. Type cd rust variable and hit on enter. Currently we are in rust variable folder. Then type tray. Let's see what are the folders which has been included in this rust variable folder by cargo package manager. Now currently I am in rust. Then type tray. You could see our cargo package manager create a source folder inside our rust variable folder. So let's open that folder. Go to desktop and open rust variable. Select rust variable and select folder. Now we are able to see the two files. One of the folder is cargo and another folder is src, which is created by our cargo package manager. Let's open our src folder. Let's see what it has been created. Like we do have main.rs file inside the source folder and one more file which is cargo.toml file, which is tom obvious minimal language file. Let's open our cargo.toml file, which is created by the cargo package manager. This file can be editable by the developers. Here we could see that cargo.toml file includes what is the name of the package and what is the current version and the edition. Currently the Rust compiler uses the 2021 edition. Hence the cargo automatically creates an edition of 2021. And here we could see the dependencies section. We could able to import our Rust or crates into our package by importing those file names under the dependencies section. Let's navigate to the main.rs file. Here we could see our main.rs file comes up with main function and with the print line statement which is of hello world. The fn is the keyword which is used to create function in our Rust program, and main function is the entry point in our Rust. And this is the macro in our Rust. This macro prints the hello world onto our terminal. Let's open our terminal in our VS Code. Go to terminal and click on terminal option. We could see our terminal in the terminal section in the VS Code. Type cargo build, then hit on enter. The cargo will build our application. We could see one of the target folder. This folder will be created once the cargo builds the application. So, and also it also generates one more file which is cargo.log file, which is automatically created by the cargo package manager, and it couldn't be changed further by the developers. Let's try to run our file before checking our target folder. Cargo run is the command in order to run our target file. Hence, if we click on enter, we could see there are two functionalities which has been done. First, it has been created a optimized file under the target folder, and it is going to run the our file which is rust variable.exe under target folder under debug folder. So this is our print statement which is called in the main function, which is the entry point of our Rust program. Let's navigate to the target folder. We are opening the target folder under debug. Hope this is the debug folder inside the target folder, which is generated using the command cargo build. Here we could see one of the file which is cargo.exe file, which is created by the Rust compiler. Cargo by default run the Rust compiler under the hood. So we could see these files will be automatically generated by the cargo package manager once we hit on the command which is cargo run. We could see one more file which is cargo.log file, which is also automatically created once we are going to build our application. In the development environment, only the debug folder is being used in order to run our application, or which is the .exe file. And when it comes to production environment, we are going to create a release folder using the cargo package manager. Hope now we will stick to the development mode, hence we don't need any production file. Let's navigate to the cargo.log file. Here we could see the same whatever the cargo toml file has the text. Here we could see this is the file automatically generated by the cargo, and it is not intended to manually editing. So this is the version 3, and which could print the variable name and the version of the package. This is the file which is automatically created by the cargo, hence we are not going to manually edit any of the things in this file. Let's close this file. I hope you have understood the structure and also how to create a cargo package using the cargo commands, components and tools. So hence we will dive into our next session, which is on the same thing on the variable. Let's clear the console and We'll create, now let's do create a variable, and we are going to run our main.program using the cargo. In order to create a variable, we use the let keyword and a, which is our variable name, equals to 5 and semicolon. It's clearly understood what is happened in this statement. This is the keyword in the Rust. This is the variable name. This is a variable name which is of i32 type, and this is the value which is going to store inside our a variable. By default, the Rust compiler assigns a variable with i32 if it is an integer value. Let's try to run our program. Cargo run. If we run our program, we are going to first we will save this file and run our program. We could see our program has been successfully compiled, but it throws an error which is of a has been used, but it is nowhere used under any statement. So this comes under unused variables. In order to prevent this warning, we could able to allow our compiler in order to not to check our any of the unused variables by declaring a statement in the first line, which is hash exclamatory mark allow unused variables. This is the statement This is the statement line which could be used to tell the compiler we are not going to check any of the unused variables. Let's save the file and run cargo run. Here we could see the compiler is not going to throw any of the warnings as it has been previously showcased. This is the warning which is produced by the Rust compiler in order to restrict our code to be very clean and clear and concise. We can do two things which can be suggested by the Rust compiler. Here we could see either we can do our variable with underscore, or we can add the statement as I have shown in this above line. Let's try to create one more float value. Let's see what type of float that could takes. In order to have the float value, it has to be notation with .0. Hence we could observe that Rust compiler by default will take the float value as the if64 type and the integer value which is of the i32 type. We could we could also able to declare a variable without any data type. This is the by default which is provided by the VS Code only. Once if it is added a, we could able to determine this value to be i64 value. So this is how we could able to create our a variable with 64 data type, bit data type. Let's save the file, clear the console and cargo run. As of now we couldn't get any error. Hence now we are strictly saying that our value 5 is of bit 64 signed integer type. Let's print those values of a and b in our print line statement. Let's a equals to and b comma b semicolon. Here this is our print macro. This is the print macro line, and this is the placeholders for a and b. This is the string format which is going to print in our command line. Let's save the file and we'll cargo run. Here we could see our statement of the print line statement, which is of a is equals to 5 and b is equals to 4. Let's try to increment our a value with plus 1. So let's try to add this value and semicolon statement. Let's try to save our file, and we could see the cargo compiler will throws an error if we are going to append the true value or incrementing the true value. So let's cargo build. Here we could see the error. By default it is saying that they cannot assign to the immutable variable of a. In Rust, the every variable is immutable by default. In order to create a variable with the mutable, in order to we need to add mute keyword in front of the variable. This is the way which we could add in the statement. Let's try to add mute keyword in front of variable a. Let's save the file. Here we could see there is no error now at all. Let's try to clear the console. Cargo build. Now we are going to successfully build and cargo run. Once we run the file, we could expect that it has been incremented to +2. So this is the print line statement created by the cargo package manager. This is how we can create a variable into mutable variable in Rust. Integer of signed and unsigned. Signed types are I8, I32, I64, comma I128-bit and I size. For the unsigned type, these are the unsigned types, which is U8, U32, U64 and U128, and which is of U size and I size are the architectural dependent. Here we have created a variable a with I8 and a variable b with I32, which is of 54 45 value, and the same which is of 64 with c. By default, compiler will get to know whether it has been out of value or not. So once we type 250 or 600 value, once we hit on save, we could able to get an error which is of I8 size is the overflowing literal. So hence, if we are going to run this cargo file, cargo run, it could throw an error which is of the I8, which is of the range between plus -128 to +127. This is of out of range. Hence, we are going to get an error in the cargo terminal. These are the scalar type, which is of integer and which is of signed and unsigned values. These are the types which can be assigned to the integer. We can declare explicitly of what type the variable which is going to hold how much size of bytes. The another type of scalar data type is float. The float contains F32 size and F64 bit size. Here we have currently assigned the b value with F32, which is of 45 value, and F64 which is of 45 value. If we save this file, we could see an error as it is saying that it is having the 32 bit size. Let's run the cargo. Let's see. We could see that the assigned value is not the float value, which is not a float literal, as the Rust compiler is very strictly typed. So we need to give dot zero in order to understand that compiler going to understand that it is an float literal. Once we click on save and cargo run or cargo build, it is successfully going to build our main.rs file. The another scalar data type is boolean. The boolean is represented with the bool keyword. Here we could see the bool keyword which is assigned with the value true or false. This is how we can represent a C variable or B variable with boolean data type. The another scalar data type which is character data type. The character holds the 4 bytes in Rust compiler. Here the character A is implicitly done, like when we given any character under the single quote, which automatically the compiler get to know that it is an character data type. And if we can able to give the explicit data type, we could add colon the character, which is the char keyword, in order to explicitly tell that the variable is of character data type. The second Rust data type is compound data type. In this compound data type, we have three types, which is tuple, array, and slice. In the tuple, a tuple is created by using the parentheses, in which the tuple can hold different data types. Hence, we created a tuple with the variable initial tuple, which is of the first one is character and the second one is I32 bit size and F64 bit size. We can use this structure in order to hold that value into the variable. Hence, initial tuple. Then we are going to print line calling z equals to comma y equals to comma x equals to. Hence z comma y comma x holds the value of the tuple by destructuring of it. Let's declare this one and let's save the file and cargo run. We could see our z, y and x value, which is of d character 22 and 56. In order to create or call our individual elements using the initial tuple, we could call in such a way: dot 0 is the first key, dot 1 is the second in the tuple, dot 2. This is how we could call the data inside the tuple by using the dot notation. Let's change our print line statement and we'll call the cargo run again. Let's clear the console. Here we could see our values here. Let's add print line. Let's try to clear and rebuild the file. Here we could see z represents d and 1 represents d. These two statements are same. Here we call by using the destructuring of the tuple, and here we are calling our tuple with the dot notation with the key value. Hence we have learned how to use the tuple in our Rust program. Tuple can be able to hold the different data types. Let's move on to the array size. We have already learnt about tuple. Now we are going to learn about array. Array is the data type which is a compound data type which holds the similar data structure or data type in the square bracket. Array is denoted by the square bracket. Inside it could have only and all the items inside the array has to be the same data type, which is of whether i32 or all of the having the same data type of i64 or any character or any string. The compiler won't allow if it is having two different data types in an array. Here by the notation we could see that this is of i32, all of the initial array of the i32, and which is of the length of 3. By default, initial array is immutable in Rust program. Hence, in order to add any of the or in order to change the initial array, we need to make it as a mutable by adding the mute keyword so that we could able to change the value inside the 3 length of 3. We couldn't able to add the 3 greater than the size of the initial array because Rust won't allow to expand or increase the size of the array. We need to make use of the vec keyword vec, which is VEC data type structure in the Rust in order to create a dynamic size of array. Next we have a print line statement which is of first, second and third having the placeholders on it. In order to create the item of the array, we need to call in such a way like initial with the indexing of 0, which is of u size. As we have discussed that u size and I size are the architectural dependent, it is used by the compiler itself in order to distinguish the bytes of memory. Hence, let's run the file. Once we run the file, we could see the first item which is 1 and the second item which is 23 and the third item it is 4543. Hence we could able to create a variable and which is of scalar data types and compound data types, and here we could able to change our initial value of array with the same data type with the another value which is of 444, and well, let's save the file and run the cargo. We could see we could successfully able to mutate our initial array, whereas slice refers to the contiguous a subset of items in the another data structure. Like hence we have the initial array which is of size 3 and which is holding the i32 bits. Now we are going to increase our size with the 4 length. Now let's create a let with slice initial, and we are pointing it to ampersand a of 0 dot dot 2 2. Hence we could able to see this is the initial slice which is of slice initial, which is a slice of the initial array. If we call our initial slice initial by indexing 0, we could able to successfully retrieve our value. Let's change our a to initial array. Hence we have already Let's remove the mute keyword and type cargo run. After running this one, we could have successfully able to get the first value, which is of 1. It has been sliced of the initial array. This is the compound data type which derives a subset from the another data structure. This is how slice will work in the Rust program language. Hope you have understood how to create a program using the cargo and how to create a package using the cargo package manager, which is of run and the new command. And we have gone through all the how to declare a variable and how to mutate the variable in the Rust program. And also we have gone through the data types of the Rust, which is simple data type and compound data type. Hope you have learned these concepts. If you have any doubts, please comment in below comment section.